I would drink.
these drinks called vodka mud shakes, which are like it's like vodka and chocolate milk, I guess, pre-mix, and it's not good.
Hello, and welcome to the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast. I am your host, your roast coming queen, a girl who once pitched an actual fit when her parents wouldn't drive on icy, snow-covered roads to take her to her boyfriend's house on a snow day, Elise Morales. And with us today, we have such a funny friend. He's our second ever international guest. He's a comedian and co-host of the Worst Idea of All Time podcast. You've seen him on Comedy Central and at the Just for Laughs Festival in Montreal. But before all of that, he was a graduate of Christ College. It's Guy Montgomery.
Oh, thank you so much. What a delight to be here.
Wow. You are our second international guest.
Well, who did you book before me?
We had a guest from Haiti, so I think it's going to be really different, actually.
Yeah, I feel like they are probably quite different schooling experiences.
So right off the bat, people usually start by telling us their mascot. Did your school have a mascot?
No. School spirit in New Zealand is very different. And at the school I went to, different again. Our mascot, with hindsight, would probably be the student body of about 500 white boys. With hindsight, one of the scariest mascots a school could possibly have.
Yeah, actually, that's terrifying. Like, why do you even need a panther or whatever to represent you when that is what you have in your corner?
Yeah. No, I was always jealous of, the idea of those sort of outfits that a cheerleader or a gymnast would wear on the sidelines of sports games to encourage everyone to barrack. We didn't use that word either, to barrack for your team. But no,
so
we're
sort of
our own devices.
You guys just didn't do the school spirit thing at all. You were focused on the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, the school it's technically Anglican. Like that's that's what they like to say. But yeah, there's no similarities in terms of like, there's no unifying. We played sports and whatnot, and you're supposed to support your school, but there's just we lack some of the pageantry and the general showmanship of America. To my chagrin, at the time, I was furious. I felt like I was in the wrong school in the wrong country. I'd come home and it's like this kaleidoscope of the US schooling experience. Or like I'd race home to watch Kenan and Kel or Hey Arnold, all sorts of mostly Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah. Well, Hey Arnold, they had like lockers. Like they were supposed to be in 4th grade on Hey Arnold, but like they were in high school kind of.
But but I mean I didn't know. I couldn't fact check any of this. I was just like, this is what it's like. Everyone's in mufti. We call it mufti. Do you have that word?
What is mufti?
I know, far out. So Mufti Day was a day where you got to wear your free dress, I think you call it.
Oh, okay. So where you get to like wear your regular clothes.
Yeah. So from the age of 5 to 18, I would go to school, button down, white shirt, tie, blazer, my little shorts, socks, long socks with garters, black shoes.
Oh, so you had like a full little outfit.
Yeah. I was, I would have been very desirable to anyone lurking in the bushes in the park on the way to school. We were dressed up to the nines.
It is like, the thing that comes to mind when you describe that to me is Dudley Dursley getting his little outfit in Harry Potter, like when his cousin gets his like little, I don't know, he gets a little outfit.
Yeah.
He gets to wear it.
we got a little outfit, and I hated it. Well, I didn't hate it. Like I just accepted it because I was 5, and I was like, well, this is just what you've got to wear to go to school. I didn't know any better until you start watching TV. But TV, we were not really allowed to watch TV. My folks were like, no, you don't need that. And so, you'd get half an hour a week on weekdays, and then you get cartoons in the weekend or whatever. but it wasn't until I started seeing, other versions of school, I was like, this is totally bogus. It's so much to do for 13 years of your life to have to be putting on all of this formal wear. I learned to tie a tie at 5. It's insane.
It's not necessary.
It is absolutely not necessary. I agree.
It's interesting. Are uniforms basically the norm?
No.
Like,
so
okay.
These were the schools were like independent, we call them, or private schools in New Zealand. So they were like they're for flash kids, or they're meant to be. And they're meant to sort of churn you out to join the New Zealand workforce as an upstanding citizen who understands
beautiful
spreadsheets and the law or something.
Yeah. They teach you how to wear your little suit so you can wear the big suit after.
Yeah. But this rebellious fellow, I can't stand. I feel shackled in a suit. I like that. I like to wear my mufti whenever I can. Yeah, so mufti day was like a day where you got to wear whatever you want, and you'd have to. It was like a gold coin donation, so like $1 or $2. And the worst feeling would be, because you get so little opportunity to express yourself through your clothes. The worst would be you'd forget mufti day and you'd show up, and the most humiliating experience is being in your school uniform when everyone else is wearing whatever the hell they
Oh no, yeah, that is actually horrible. Was that like there was always someone who forgot?
There was always someone, and everyone usually everyone would have had a turn to do it. If you were lucky, you could try and call in some sort of hero favor from a parent or a sibling to rush in some mufti clothes, but they wouldn't even know how to choose the best outfit.
Yeah, exactly. Like the opportunity squandered because you wanted to pick like your look. So let's say it's mufti day. What is teen guy wearing to school?
I'm wearing a pair of Quicksilver board shorts cut very neatly just below the knee. And the way you know that they're Quicksilver is Quicksilver have printed the biggest possible Quicksilver logo on one of the legs, so that no one is mistaking what brand of board shorts these are. Like, I was so obsessed with the idea of these surf. I watched Blue Crush and was like, surfing. It's surfing for me.
And so Blue Crush.
A seminal text.
How could you watch Blue Crush and not think it's surfing for me? Like you at least have to walk away from that movie in that day dedicated to surfing.
I couldn't agree more. A friend and I got into surfing for 2 weeks after that, but it was it's harder than it looks in the movie. And like Christchurch had a beach, but it's not. Yeah. It didn't really take off.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are you near a surfing?
So Christchurch it's got a fantastic geographical position. It's on the coast, on the east coast of the South Island of New Zealand. And it's not quite equidistant, but it's like you've got the beach. If you drive out east, you've got the beach. And to the west, you've got mountain ranges. So it's almost like the town on Rocket Power. Do you remember Rocket Power?
Oh, do I remember Rocket Power? Yeah. Come on. How can you look at me and not see that I was influenced so deeply by Reggie Rocket?
Yeah, I see it and hear it now. So like you could go skiing and you could go surfing, and if you really wanted to, but you'd have to work pretty hard. You could do both on the same day, which is what always blew my mind on Rocket Power. I was like, how these kids fit so much in?
They really did. They were masters of all extreme sports.
Yeah,
even the squid.
Yeah, which was admirable for his new status as a member of the Rocket Power. He just
had to learn how to longboard because he was too fat to use the other one.
Yeah. So, but while the surfing didn't take off, my fandom of surfwear was overwhelming, and to the point that if the 13-year-old or whatever version of me who was wearing those Quicksilver board shorts knew that as an adult I would have the option to dress myself exclusively in Quicksilver, and somehow wound up not doing that, it would be incomprehensible.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I'd have the Quicksilver. I'd have like the Quicksilver board shorts. I'd have on like a Billabong, a grey Billabong t-shirt.
Great.
Did you get Billabong over there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we had
all the same ones.
All the stuff that you're describing is like the tip, like you're like a PacSun guy. Did you have the store PacSun? Pacific Sunwear. Okay,
no,
so
yeah.
all of the things that you are describing, there's like a very iconic teen mall store called PacSun, where if one watched Blue Crush and said, "My life is now dedicated to surf style," you would shop at PacSun, and they had Billabong and Quicksilver.
Yeah.
And I mean, other places had Vans, but like, all that stuff was there.
The topper would be, I'd wear a totally don't have a photo, but like one of those metal link, not like a puka shell necklace, but like one of those metal link ones that goes around. That look, it was a bad look then, and it's a bad look now. It's scary.
It was like a choker, a metal choker kind of.
It's like a 13-year-old step down from a neck tattoo. It's sort of like, like I am also, don't be deceived by the soft green of the board shorts. I'm rough and tumble.
So you really did have, like, I mean, you had a style that you wanted to express. So it did suck to have to wear the little outfit. Because I imagine some boys who had, like, there are some teenage boys who have no style and they don't care, and like someone picking out their outfit for them every day is whatever. But you wanted to express yourself.
But it wasn't led by any sense of individuality or genuine desire. It was just like, it was driven by, we didn't have algorithms back then, but I was piecing together what I thought were the coolest things in the world, which were visible brands and like anything that sort of meant I would blend in with not the largest group, but like the group of people with whom I like the best. Like, I just wanted to feel and look cool. And in a way, don't we all?
Yeah, still to this day.
Yeah.
That never changes. You just kind of recalculate what looking cool actually is.
I know, but I think back to that time, and I guess I wouldn't change too. I had the beacon of like the coolest thing I had was these Nike like athleisure wear sunglasses that had pop out lenses. So the frames, you could pop out the lens, and I had two sets of lenses. One which was like your sort of plain black. They were like silver frames with a yellow Nike tick on the side there. One were plain black, but I also had these translucent or transparent, like see-through orange lenses that I'd put in all the time. When I was rocking those, I was like, oh, it's on. I'm cool now.
Okay, so socially, teen guy, where does he like fall? What's his crew at school? What would you think your rep was apart from cool surf guy?
No, yeah. I think I wasn't especially cool, but I was also not especially uncool. I was sort of like, I was middle of the road, friendly with most people. I had a very close group of friends who the Christ College was separated into like a housing system, not unlike Harry Potter, but instead of 4 houses, there were 10 houses. And instead of a transphobic author, there was some sort of homophobic headmaster. But I had so I was in a house called Korf House. All the houses were named after old guys, alumni, old white guys who came to New Zealand. Like this Christ College, one of their big selling points is that the school was founded in 1850. And like the Treaty of Waitangi, which is essentially our founding document to say that New Zealand got colonized, was signed in 1840. And so this school is like almost as old as the as the invaded country itself.
As that whole thing.
Yeah. And so that all of the houses, there were 10 houses, there were 4 boarding houses and 6 day boy houses. And I was in Korf House, and I was lucky enough to wind up in a house with 4 guys who were, some of them already were, but like we became unbelievably close knit, thick as thieves. I believe the Dickensian turn of phrases. And we were like pretty happy in our own little silo. We'd sort of, cross over and interact with the other guys, but like inside of ourselves, we were pretty happy. We weren't in the best sports teams, and we weren't kissing all the prettiest girls at the parties in the weekend, but we were having a lot of laughs, having a lot of fun, making a lot of memories.
And it was the friends you made along the way. But,
yeah.
Okay, so what amount, I always am interested in this when I'm talking to people who went to high school elsewhere. Were you guys allowed to drink?
No.
Okay.
The legal drinking age in New Zealand is 18.
Okay.
And so legally, no. And obviously the school is the school's motto is Bene Tradita, Bene Servanda, which is Latin, a dead language. And it means good traditions to be well maintained. So the school was very precious about, how you represent the school. You'd always get told, the school's kind of in the Christchurch CBD. And when you go out, you'd have to get a leave slip to leave the school campus at lunchtime to go and get food or whatever. And whenever you do that, they'd always be like, when you're wearing that uniform, you're not just representing yourself, you're representing the school. And you'd be like, yeah, okay, fucking old man, you just want to go get some chicken fried rice. Yeah, want to pay $2 for
Thanks,
some lunch.
You make me wear this.
Yeah. And so you weren't allowed to drink. Like some of the there was a, or at least in my interpretation of the pecking order of coolness at school, that some of the cooler kids would they might sneak off to smoke weed or have a drink at lunchtime. But to me, that was beyond the pale of naughtiness. That was terrifying. I was convinced that as soon as you did that, you'd get caught. And I lived in fear. To this day, I like nothing worse than getting in trouble. Like I get, as soon as I get a knot in my stomach, and it's like, it's, you immediately are just flipping through the Rolodex of everything that you've done wrong in the last day, week, month, year, like your entire life. You're like, what are they nailing me for right now?
I'm like, it's not great, but I'm like all talk. And then as soon as I actually get in trouble, I'm crying immediately. And this was a problem in high school because I would argue with my teachers, and then they would be like, you're in trouble, and I would just collapse on the ground.
Yeah. And I understood that lying existed as a concept, but not as it applied to me. Like if they were bailing me out for something and I was guilty, there was no hope for me or any of my cohorts to get away with it. It was like, you got us.
I admitted to everything immediately. I was like the worst person to get in trouble with. Caved immediately. I can't handle the pressure of getting in trouble.
It's a bad fit, and I think it's different for different people, but it was drilled into me. I was a very obedient, deferential child. It didn't occur to me that teachers were fallible until probably my last year of high school, or, which is late. It's too late. There were teachers I didn't like, but I would still sort of defer to their authority somewhat. There was a guy and we called it, the grades are they're the same, but we took it differently. But in fourth form, which is your second year of high school, so I would have been 13 or 14, I took speech and drama classes. And the chemistry teacher was this guy called Mr. Harwood, who, with hindsight, probably was suffering from several outstanding brain injuries from a semi-professional rugby career. And he would speak and move tremendously slowly, and he did not have a lot of respect for the performing arts. And when I would say, I can't be in chemistry today, I've got to go to speech and drama, he would say, no, you can only leave if you've got a music lesson. You can't leave for speech and drama. And it sort of started this I didn't like the guy, but I still was like, okay, well, if he says I can't leave, I can't leave. And so I would I used to put universal indicator in all the hydrochloric acids in the classroom, so they'd all go red and you couldn't do experiments with them. And it was that was my vengeance. And then
that's a really good prank though. That's really that's well thought out.
Well, yeah, you're working at a huge advantage if the teacher is suffering from a lifetime of concussions and
that
literally
is true.
15 minutes to turn around. But I would do that.
True. He had CTE, so that's great.
Yeah. And then for all this, I was I just did not apply myself or care about chemistry. And I remember I got we had to sit an exam at the end of, I think in fourth form, science would be split into terms. So there are 4 terms in a year, and there'd be like, one of them would be chemistry, one of them would be physics, one of them would be biology, and one of them would be general. And with an eye to, if you like one of them, you could study them in an applied sense the next year or whatever. But I remember doing the chemistry test and being like, oh, I'm out of my depth, and writing a letter on the last, there was sort of some equation-based sciences, then there was an essay, or more of an essay one, and I remember writing like, I remember being taught this stuff. Sorry, but this ain't me. And I got 25%, which was a score so low. And I think that Mr. Harwood in the school found the letter, this pretty, politely written letter, so disrespectful that I got something called Saturday night detention.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I had to go back to the school on Saturday night at 5 p.m. No, like 6 p.m. and resit exactly the same chemistry exam, like in a classroom on campus on Saturday night. And
wow.
When I redid the exam, I got 37%.
Hey, you found an extra 12% on there.
I know, but I'm pretty sure I had the exam to study. Like I had all the answers.
That is, I took the SAT twice because I wanted to improve my math score. I had done like really well on like the verbal and the reading, but my math score was like not good. And when I took it the second time, I got the exact same score again.
Oh, wow.
And so I just kind of was like, you know what? This is how good at math I am.
Yeah.
Like this is just, we've tried twice. And I'm this good. Yeah,
it's the perfect, like gauge. You are no better than that at math. It doesn't matter how hard you try, that's all you got.
I did. I studied between tests. I tried. I am not going to be better than this at math.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I'm getting this like picture of your school, I'm wondering, because to me, like, so you're in New Zealand, you're looking at American school being like, oh, I wish that I could be having a food fight or whatever.
Yeah.
But to me, like what you're describing seems truly so exotic, so Harry Pottery and mysterious to me.
Yeah.
What was like because I also imagine like all these traditions and like rowdiness. Like, did you guys?
Yeah.
How much were you hazing each other? Like, what was all that?
I think it was another point of pride at school. Like Christchurch is meant to be the most British, the most English city in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
It's where the first settlers arrived, and it's in my lifetime, and also I guess in the social circles that I have, like it's been incredible to watch this entire notion of how this is a very respectable and fantastic thing be dismantled in real time. So like, growing up, it's like, this is amazing, we're so British and all this. And then it's like, oh, no, this is not a desirable, thing at all. But it was, there was like, it's modeled on English, I think a very famous English school called Eton, which is like a very, very elite kind of, it's where all of the Tory prime ministers went to school and stuff. And
I've heard of it. And it also, you're also, if you've ever seen the movie Dead Poets Society.
Yes.
Like
yes.
I'm picturing Dead Poets. I always ask
but with
people,
New Zealand accents.
Yes. I've always asked people, what flavor of high school did you go to? And I think your flavor of high school is Dead Poets Society.
It's Dead
like
Poets
a Harry Potter sprinkle.
Yeah. The buildings are like old stone buildings. So it's an overlay of those two, but everyone has New Zealand accents. And
which makes it so much more fun.
Yeah. Well, I think to listen to, it makes it sound like it's of no consequence, like a fucking make-believe accents. But so there was always hazing, but it was always done, under the idea that it's so much better now than it was. Like, no matter what you were going through, it's like, yeah, but you're lucky you weren't here 2 years ago when they'd shove you in a wheelie bin and push you down the stairs or whatever. And and so while you're being pushed into a stationary rubbish bin in the locker room, you'd be like, well, you're right. tremendously grateful for this experience.
Yeah, like you don't even this thing could be moving.
Yeah, you're right. I'm drowning in banana peels and gratitude, George. Thank you so much. But so there was always that, and what it does do is it instills in you, because you're so young and malleable, the idea that as you advance through the school years, that you owe the same sort of like needless bullying to the people who come through beneath you. But the ways in which that my friends and I in Corfhouse would try and apply this was less like less sort of just blindly brutish and abiding the idea of hazing, and more like, you know, we want to try and have a bit of fun with it.
Less just like openly cruel for no reason.
Yeah. But, you know, certainly by no means perfect, but like a lot of it would come out at the housemaster. So there was this every house has a housemaster, Professor McGonagall styles.
Of course.
This guy called...
I know the rules.
Yeah, you get it. This guy his nickname was Jal, because it's because he had a proclivity. He'd give out jelly beans for good behavior, or to pupils he liked, which is sus.
Yeah. Honestly, there's something weird about it when it's all you little boys and you've got your little outfits on and he's handing you jelly beans. There's something weird about it.
It is super weird about it. And he was the classics teacher and the Latin teacher. So if you did classics, he'd love like playing Caligula. You know, he'd love playing Caligula for this room full of 16 or 17-year-old boys. Be like, yeah, drink it in. And if you were naughty in his classroom, you had to go and run a lap around. Our sports field was called Upper, named after a war hero, Charles Upper. And you had to go and run around the Upper, and like everyone could watch you run around the, you know, it was no consequence. But we would like, he was an odd dude, and he was also, he would try to be very strict, and he, I think this meant that there was a lot of pushback from our group. That was where we would channel like the hazing energy. It was like, you know, we'd mess around, like the kids who are a year below us, we'd sort of like, you know, you'd I guess you'd be mean to them, not just sort of blindly.
You know?
You're still trying to be funny, and you want like everyone to appreciate the part of it that's funny, but you're not being a legend. But like he would, every day you'd walk into the house and there'd be a whiteboard like in front of his office that would say, at the top of it, it always said, "See me." And then there'd be a list of boys written in cursive, just their surname. And like, you know, going back to the getting in trouble thing, if you saw "See me Montgomery," you'd be like, oh fuck, you know.
Yeah, that's like, I'm in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. He found out I remember I was mooning some fellow pupils out the window, but like where the house was, it looked out onto a busy Christchurch street. And obviously showing your ass cheeks to the general public when you're affiliated with the school is not desirable. And I realize now that the reason that they were so precious about protecting like the traditions and the reputation is because everyone who was not inside of this hallowed bubble of a high school fucking hated us, and rightly so, because we're these like private schoolboy terrors who are just have no consequence, like have no understanding of what the real world is, or, you know, notion of consequence. We're just these
so would you like
shites?
Would it be like you guys would all show up and you'd be like, it's town day, and then you guys just like descend on a town, or like
not towns, but like like you'd have to go through school in uniform, and we'd wear these penguin striped blazers, and like it was crazy. When you're at high school, it's like there are two different. In summer you get to wear shorts and there's one uniform, but like I think it was like on Monday and Tuesday you have to wear your suits, which is like grey suits with long pants and a jacket, and like a round collared shirt. And then on the other days, you'd wear your sports uniform, which is like the penguin stripe blazer and a pointy collared white shirt, and you could wear pants or shorts. It's so absurd. And so you go out and, you know, you'd stick out like a sore thumb because you go out to Christchurch or whatever, and you're all wearing these uniforms. And like, you know,
so you just get a reputation around the town
and
for like,
and people don't like you. Yeah. And that's fine. But there's our crosstown rivals were a school called Christchurch Boys High School. And that was like the large public school equivalent. Like it's the same, you're getting the same schooling experience, but you're not paying through the nose for it essentially. And it's all zoned. So you have to be living in a certain, you know, diametrical area of the
Yeah.
neighborhood to go to the school. And I remember once I was biking home in my penguin stripe blazer, and there were like I could feel this dirt or like something really hard that turned out to be like a firm dirt clump like strike my back. I was like, oh shit. And then I could feel one hit my toe, and I was like, oh no. And I start biking fast, and then dirt clumps coming to the front as well. And I like tried to get away, but there were sort of 5 boys high guys around me, and I was like, oh no, it's on now. And stopped my bike, and they're all around me, and I was like, oh, I'm about to get like my first pure beat down. Like these guys are going to actually lay hands on me. And then they just they're such dorks. One of them walks up to me, and he's like, what do you like better, Ford or Holden? Which are 2 car brands. And I was like, I didn't really know or care about cars. And I was like, Holden. And then the leader, the guy who asked me the question, goes to his friend, see, I fucking told you so. And that was all they wanted from me. And I biked away.
Was there any significance to that question that you could, like, is there some New Zealand cultural thing I'm not?
No. I think it's mostly Australian, but it's just for different, like, you know, cliques or whatever. And at the high school, there were different guiding principles for what, you know, you derive social value from. And I guess there was a lot of tribalism amongst certain pockets of the student body for people who liked Fords and people who liked Holden. And they wanted to bring in an outsider.
And did they have a little outfit too?
They did have a little outfit too. They would wear like a black blazer with blue, like a royal blue trim. And you know, the where that happened was a place called Hagley Park, which is this like huge, expansive park in the middle of Christchurch that would like, you know, that was essentially in the middle of the 2 school grounds, Christ College on one side and Boys High on the other side. And they were like, every year we'd try and compete with them at sports. So every year we'd have like our big first 15, which is like the best rugby team from our school would play their best rugby team. And every year they would absolutely fucking towel us by like 50 points. And we'd just get absolutely reamed by these guys. And, you know, every year we'd show up and be like, this is our year. And then we'd just get punished. And it was,
oh,
you don't, like, unless you're in the team or, you know, you decide that is what your identity is as a pupil, you don't really care. The muscliest kids care, but also it's like, well, what do I care about what you think? Because you just got beaten by 15 musclier kids from across the park.
So was there like an all girls school that you guys like mostly affiliated with?
There were sort of 2.
Okay.
And we'd like, if we do school, like we do drama productions or whatever, we'd alternate years with the girls' school who we'd perform them with.
Oh my God. If I had heard that as a teenager, I don't think I ever would have thought of a more romantic thing than like meeting the boys' school to do a play.
I know. But I thought the same thing, but I didn't know that everyone was experiencing the same wave of nerves about like meeting girls or boys or whatever as I was. And so I never had the, like, I'd always be funny and cool, but I never had the self-confidence to actually secure myself a girlfriend. I would make friends, but I, like, every time I'd be like, oh my God, the school production, I can't wait to fall in love. And then I'd sort of play the role of like, you know, funny 3rd or 4th friend in the wings, like chiming in with the joke. But so there were 2 like equivalent schools. One was called St. Margaret's, one was called Rangiruru. And they're like nearby.
And did they have like, I always ask this about like private schools, but did they have like different reputations? Like, oh, the St. Margaret's girls. Or wifey or whatever.
Yeah, they did. I can't remember what they are, but I'm certain that it would have been like, you know, it would be something like you practice on the St. Margaret's girls and you marry the, you know, or the other way around.
Something,
some horrific, you know, base notion that some of them are good for having sex with and some of them are good for making your wives. Or
I mean, that was going on. That was going on among public middle schools when I was growing up. And my middle school, by the way, which is like 11 and 12-year-olds, was the slutty one that had herpes.
Oh,
which
wow.
Is like, no one.
Incredible. Yeah.
What is this based on? What is this based on?
it gets worse from like, because going to Christ College, obviously you had those perceptions of the private girls' schools, and then you'd be even more derogatory to the public girls' schools because it's classism, and so you'd be like, and then there are these guys, and you really got to watch out for them because it's like not unlike you, because word of your middle school made it to our school, and we'd be like, it's a bit like that one where they've all got herpes.
Exactly, and it would.
We lived in constant fear of transatlantic herpes from these middle schoolers.
My middle school was obsessed with herpes, probably because we had this reputation. But I don't think that anyone really had herpes, or if they did, it was just like the mouth kind that they had since they were born or whatever. Like, I don't think like my middle school, we were thinking about herpes often. And I don't think
was that under adult supervision, or were you just running wild with your own ideas of herpes?
I mean, I think it was brought on a little bit by like sex panic in general, because this was around the time, I don't know if you guys dealt with this, but where the news thought that everybody was trading bracelets. Okay.
Fuck me bracelets.
Yeah. Okay.
We got those.
Okay, cool. I wasn't sure how far did that travel.
Yeah, it made it easier. You'd take out the blue bit from the Coke bottle and you'd peel out the middle and you'd stretch out the bracelet. Did you have that?
So we did those, but there were also just these rubber bracelets, and they came in different colors. And the news told everybody's parents that the bracelet colors
corresponded to what you would do.
To sexual activity. And so there was a lot of stuff around there. There was a rumor that girls were going to wear different colored lipsticks at parties and give blowjobs to guys who, like, their penis would then have rings around it, which actually doesn't even work.
I know, but I heard all this stuff too, and because it's all like sort of coming in from America, it is my belief that it was true.
We export a lot of moral panic and like weird stuff.
Yeah. But there was no skepticism that this was true. I was like, God damn, all the 14-year-old guys in America are getting their dicks sucked with 12 different colors of lipstick.
Yeah.
And I'm just figuring out how to masturbate, like I gotta keep up.
These kids in America are having parties where they're just the whole party is just blowing each other for hours. That was not, I assure you, that was not what was happening.
Well, it's a weight off my shoulders. Because
that was just something our adults made up about us, which is a different kind of weird. Okay, let's actually take a look at the photos that you sent now. I feel like this is a perfect time to round out the picture of teen guy. Okay, how old are we here?
So this is pre-teen. I'm guessing by the sort of slightly disproportionate face, I almost look like Alfred E. Newman here.
Yeah, I was getting, you do. You really do.
I was probably 11 here.
And are we in the uniform?
So we're in the Cathedral Grammar uniform, which is like a school that is almost a feeder school for Christ College. So Cathedral Grammar is like, I was there from 5 to 12 or 13, and it was all, years 1, 2, and 3 are co-educational, so it was mixed classes, and then from then on it's just for the fellas. And so that guy there, he's all right. I was actually very athletic until puberty, and then everyone's bodies started giving them unfair advantages, and I couldn't be bothered applying myself, and so I sort of fell out of love with sports. But that guy was pretty close to rocking out. Like, I think I was probably rocking out the hardest at that point until I sort of secured my identity and self-confidence as an adult. That guy's doing pretty good.
Yeah, so like, what are this guy's like top 3, like the top 3 loves in this version of Guy's life are what?
Kenan and Kel used to love coming home from school to watch Kenan. Like, Kenan and Kel's the first show I remember watching and laughing out loud by myself. So loves Kenan and Kel, loves playing touch rugby with the boys.
Of course.
So, that's like rugby union, but without tackling. I was never big on tackling. I didn't like getting hit, but I could use my gas and acceleration. And my third love, I mean, what do you like at that? I like going skiing. Like I just liked.
Were you like a video game kid?
Wasn't allowed to watch TV. Wasn't allowed a video game console. I like Destiny's Child at that point. I remember.
They were great. I mean, this was actually, they were killing it at this time.
Yeah. But what I really wanted was eyebrows and to kiss a girl, and neither of those were forthcoming. In any
At what point would you kiss a girl?
Last end of third form, so end of year 9. I don't know what grade that is, but first year of high school. At the last school dance, I kissed a girl who was a head shorter than me. I didn't know her. I didn't know how to do it. I had my eyes open and was like looking around the room while I was kissing her, which is very stressful and creepy. And a guy who was cooler than me, who'd been kissing girls for years, who was like an old family friend, but sort of was bounding up the social ladder much quicker than I could hope to, saw me with my eyes open and poked me in the eye.
Oh my God. And this girl was no one to you? She was just who you were with at the end of the dance, and the kissing moment landed. And
I know her name, but I'm not going to say it, and I do not know anything about her as an adult, because it was like almost 20 years ago, which is fucking crazy.
Were you at a point where you were feeling the pressure to kiss, and so you were just I gotta get a kiss, like this can't happen?
Well, like we all know the rules in high school, right? Which is if you don't have sex in high school, then you don't get to have sex at all.
Yeah, you never will.
So you gotta take care of your business, and there's a huge amount of social pressure, and the people you surround yourself with are all going through their paces at different stages, and you're just thinking, I gotta get some runs on the board here.
Yeah. So did you have any like long-term girlfriends in high school?
No,
not really.
No, I didn't. No, not even any short-term girlfriends. I had I had girls who I was friends with and who I liked, and who with hindsight liked me back, but neither of us had I didn't have the courage. These are fairly conservative schools, and so it was on me to take initiative, and I never did.
There are so many times where I would just go back and tell my teen self and the teen self of everyone I've talked to, like, of course they have a crush on you. You all have a crush on each other. Each other out. You all like.
No, but there's no greater humiliation than thinking they might and finding out they don't. You will never recover from that.
No, and everyone will know.
That's right, because everyone is thinking about it just as much as you.
100%. Like it would. Were you a big unrequited love person?
No. Oh, I guess in flashes, but it sort of mellowed with time. And I was like, well, eventually by the end of high school, I was like, well, Christchurch by New Zealand standards is a big enough city. But by the end of high school, I was like, well, I guess the thing is you got to get out of Christchurch.
All right, let's take a look at this next photo. All right, who do we have here?
So I certainly don't have permission to share that photo, but that would be a guy called Toby Piazzi. He was a border cooler, more athletic. He rode and he played rugby, and you can see he's pretty switched on. He's got a jacket and a rose. Yeah. That there in the white and blue stripe shirt, button-down shirt with a print t-shirt underneath it and a very, very loose-fitting pair of Huffer trousers is young Guy Montgomery. I believe on the way to the fifth form dance or semi-formal, and you'll see I've embraced the idea of semi-formal, The
shirt is shiny. I'm going to say the shirt is translucent.
At least it was the style at the time. And so I went to this dance. I'm with a friend. I actually don't know which friend I took, but like with a friend who was a girl who almost definitely wound up making out with someone else. And the dancers were not they weren't terrible for me. That was fine, but they also weren't like, I didn't look forward to them in the ways that other kids did, because I was like, oh man, it's just a whole night of me experiencing the pressure of hooking up with someone and not pulling it off.
Yeah, there were times when it was like the dance is like a social obligation that you have to fulfill. Like, it's like, okay, I'm going to the company holiday party for like an hour, whatever.
Exactly. And that little dweeb there, he's got about 10 pubes to his name and just needs a clip around the ear and to be told, just figure yourself out, mate, you'll be fine.
You are embodying, you mentioned this briefly, but you are embodying the like early teen boy style of just enormous pants.
Yeah,
just pants that don't fit at all.
I know. For about 3 years. And then it's very important that the pants cling to your legs. Like, you know.
What is it about a 12-year-old boy and enormous pants? What comfort does it provide?
I guess what it probably is that there was a 14-year-old boy in enormous pants who was an older brother of one of the 12-year-old boys. And they're like, well, this is what the 14-year-old's wearing. And you're like, yeah, I know, Mom, we got to get down to the shops and buy the most wide-leg pair of trousers available.
And least they'll be ostracized.
Yeah.
And you're like, shut up, Mom. You don't know fashion.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. You just got to wear the big pants. You got to wear the big pants. You got to wear the print t-shirt. You got to have the shiny overshirt. You got to do it.
Giant pants as formal wear is something that has come up on this podcast across ages, across the country, now across, the globe. So there is a sacred bond between preteen boys and giant pants that this podcast is ultimately an exploration of.
Yeah, you love to hear it.
All right, let's take a look at this next photo.
So,
who do we have here?
We got a guy who's feeling himself a little more.
Yes.
And so this was like the last holiday that some friends and I took before leaving high school.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we're in Wanaka here, which is like a mountain town in the South Island. And what have we got on? We got the fake Gucci shades, baby. We've got hats that I would actually still love to own to this day that a friend brought back from a holiday in Japan. It had like this cool bear logo on the front. We've got like a sort of novelty humor t-shirt, or it's an old ad for Weet-Bix, which is like our version of Wheaties, I guess. And you'll see on my friend there, Andrew, a lot of the other guys have gotten into straightening their hair at this point.
Oh, wow.
Something I thankfully sidestepped. But this guy is like, he's got good friends and he's pretty happy, and he's made out with a few girls now, but he's also a massive virgin, and he carries that around his neck like like a fucking tombstone. And so he's living in abject fear that his dick will go untouched for time immemorial.
Mm-hmm. And that like the amount you are running out of time actively to ever have sex. The clock.
Yes. And so, there are still moments of my day and my week where I can enjoy life, but this is the dominating thought and force in my life.
Absolutely. So was this like, did you guys have, because in the US we have like beach week after senior year sometimes, where everyone like goes to the beach and you have you act rowdy. Was that kind of what this was?
Not quite. No. Yeah. I mean, not this trip, but there is sort of an equivalent. There's so like New Year's Eve, because our summer falls at the end of the school year.
Right.
Over Christmas and New Year's, like everyone sort of you latch onto your clan, and everyone goes away to some place where a parent might have a holiday house or whatever for New Year's, and that's where everyone sort of gets boozy and pairs off and sort of satiates their outstanding desires from high school.
Got it. But not you.
No, but not me. No, actually, this New Year's, I got hammered drunk, like blackout drunk, lost all my friends, and pretended to be a South African tourist for the night.
Wow. And did you pass, or was everyone like,
I know, I
what's
passed.
wrong with this guy?
From my memory, I passed, but they're also probably like, what's wrong with this guy? I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, it was outside the box. I guess it was like some form of escapism.
When did you first start drinking, and were you and your friends getting like very drunk?
I was pretty slow off the mark, but I guess by New Zealand standards anyway, 16, and I used to drink. I didn't like carbonated beverages at all. I didn't like. I used to, when I was a kid, I didn't like it, and I was never had the bravery to try them again. I thought that the bubbles were like little knives on my tongue, and that's what I would say. And so I would drink these drinks called vodka mud shakes, which are like, it's like vodka and chocolate milk, I guess, pre-mixed, and it is it's not good, but it was like, you know, it was like drinking chocolate milk at the time, and that's pretty much what you want. It, the satisfaction of drinking chocolate milk with the knowledge you will become drunk.
Okay, that is such an insane drink.
Yeah.
Were you the only person drinking that, or was that like a common drink for other teenagers at the time?
No, some of the gals were putting back a few mud shakes, but
okay, cool. Very cool.
Most of the fellas were drinking beer, and then I also drink like you know, beer, well, like a pre-mixed vodka orange, which is like, you know,
okay. See, that's
horrible.
good. I just feel like when me and my friends started drinking, which was also around 16, we just would drink there was no thought about like actually having an enjoyable experience or enjoying the drink. It was just all about like getting completely fucking drunk.
Yeah, it becomes that. You sort of, you put the gas down as time goes on, to the point that you're like, you know, there's a year or so there where you're like, the entire point is to wipe your memory of what's happening, which is just patently absurd. I just, you know, like there's a few things I'd like to shake myself as a teenager to be like, man, this is not it. Like, I feel, you know, the years from high school to probably, you know, until like 21 or 22, maybe 23, I feel like I didn't make a single, I was not an active participant in decision making in my life. Like, you know, I would go where the largest group of friends were going in a way that would ensure like I could socially blend in as best as I could. I did not feel like I was in charge. And you know, getting blackout drunk was as a party to that, which is just like, well, this is what everyone else around you is doing. It's not fun if you're not doing it, so you might as well do it.
Yeah,
not
and it's like
leave and find something you enjoy, but
you're really not in charge now. Like you really don't have to be thinking about anything that you're doing at this moment.
Exactly.
All right, I think we've got one more photo here.
Yeah.
All right.
Hell,
I'm seeing some of the Billabong style that's happening here.
So
pants are a little smaller.
Well, they're shorts. So
the shorts are a little, but even still,
that's still a wide leg Volcom cargo short. Yeah. That's going to reach over the knee, and we've got 6 pockets to put in that one tiny little Nokia cell phone. This is actually, we are now at the start of university, and we at this point now we've got a new group of people from whom one of the sole objectives is to mask the fact I'm a virgin. That is tremendously important. In fact, the first time I had sex, before I even had sex, I was in a hostel room with one of the girls, or the girl to whom it would have to whom I would have sex with at university. And when I would have sex upon. Yeah. Well, that was the goal. But I realized that we were going to have sex, and the fear of God and the enthusiasm of my ejaculate got the better of me, and I came in my trousers before anything could happen. And instead of being like, hey, I'm a virgin, or hey, I just came in my pants, I said, hey, I just remembered my friend is on a gap year in Wales, and I scheduled to Skype him in 10 minutes. You know I got to get out of here. And I left. Wow. What did I do? I'm so glad you asked. I went to a bathroom. I changed my underpants. I removed any extracts of jism, and I returned to the room to have sex, which lasted all of 15 seconds. And only after that experience she was like, are you okay? And I was like, that was my first time. And she's like, you should have said so. You
she's like, looking back, some clues were there, but you really should have told me.
Yeah.
It's so fun. What's funny to me about that story, apart from literally all of the details of it, is that is that I'm sure that you were so convinced the entire time, one, that like you're the only virgin at university, number two, that you're the only man anything resembling this has ever happened to, when in fact, tale as old as time.
100%. But you don't, it was just holy hell. So yeah, again, that like I was having a good time, but also, I did not relieve any of this sexual anxiety for years after this, really.
It's just so interesting because all of us go into the puberty time like so in the dark, and it's so easy to get so many harmful messages. Like you to come out of high school thinking that it is like an extreme anomaly for you to have not have had sex, when it's like very common and normal.
But it's because it's also an all boys school, and like all of your friends, there's all this like bravado and one-upmanship. It's like, I didn't really have the security of communicating that anxiety. So you just carry it around with you, and it enhances. In fact, I mean, I don't know if this has been brought up on the podcast before, but one of the things, like, I have enjoyed watching Big Mouth so much as an adult. And being like, this is like a Bible that high school pupils should watch, that articulates that everyone is going through some excruciating version of what you're going through, and it doesn't fucking matter, because there was no text to which I could refer to put my mind at ease. It was just like me and my thoughts being like, oh man, you are done.
No, and the sex ed you do get is like just a scientific, non-emotional thing. Or what sex ed did you get?
My parents left a book called Where Do I Come From on the kitchen table one morning when neither of them were around.
Amazing. So you didn't do any in school?
No, we had a health instructor called Mr. Pike, but I feel like my main memories of that is in one class, one of the pupils asked if dinosaurs could be gay, and he didn't have an answer.
Okay.
And in another class, he'd obviously just finished reading The Secret, and he kept telling everyone that you can do anything you put your mind to. And we'd be like, well, what if I want to be the fastest runner in the world? And he'd say, well, you could be. And we'd be like, but I'm not. And he'd be like, because you don't believe it. And we'd be like, fuck off, Mr. Pike. This is ridiculous.
Also, you're like, why are we here? What's going on?
I know.
Also, can a dinosaur be gay is the most like boys' school sex ed question. Like,
absolutely.
Hey, can a dinosaur be gay? Like, okay, congratulations. I feel like somewhere every year, a 12-year-old boy asks, can a dinosaur be gay?
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, they absolutely crush. Like,
every time.
Yeah, it gets a big laugh.
Oh, if someone had said, "Can a dinosaur be gay?" in my sex ed class, they would have slayed it.
Yeah, game over.
All right, I think we're coming to the end here. So, as our very last question, if you could tell teen guy anything, what would you tell him?
I just say, like, I don't know, man, follow your instincts and do what you enjoy. Like you got to stop living in the fear or in the shadow of like other people, what other people think of you, which is such a, it's such a hokey cliche thing, but it's like, I feel like it's the thing that every teenager needs to hear. Yes. Is like, you're living your life and no one else cares about it like you do. So live it. Like, stop making every decision, underneath the notion of what other people will think of it, and just do it for yourself. 100%.
I mean, I need to remind myself that all the time now, where I have to be like, you're not the star of the movie in everyone's head. Like, people aren't always thinking about you.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this was an amazing episode. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you expanded the roasts universe by a
Yeah.
lot. So
I'm so excited. Oh, yeah.
And for everyone listening at home, this has been the Roast of Your Teenage Self podcast.